The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. This is a recorded version of the Summer Captains webinar for those captains who were unable to attend one. So let's get started. We're going to cover some important rule league changes for 2019. Some will affect all, some will affect some. We'll cover those, and we'll also cover some captains' do's and don'ts and different stuff like that, and hopefully be as quick as possible. So the first league rule change for 2019 is the qualifier home team determination. So in the past, it was based on the subflight you were in, the number, and then the year it was. So like subflight 2 in even years would host, subflight 1 in odd years would host. Never really made much sense. So we've gone ahead and changed that, and it's now based on a merit-based system. So, in other words, best record will get to host. Some of those leagues that have 9-team qualifiers, like the 2-5 women, 3-5 women, 3-0 women, there's 9 teams. Not only will the top 3 teams get a bye, but they will also then get to host the second round. So there's a double benefit for being on the top, which is good. And then, of course, if there's 5 subflights and 9 spots, the subflight winners will always be seated ahead of the second place or wild card teams, just because they won their flight, so they get the advantage of that. So hopefully that makes sense. In 2019, we're also going to be a little stricter with the total team default penalty. As you may or may not know, the first offense is a $100 fine. In the past, it was a $100 fine, and then if you didn't do it again, we basically gave you the $100 back. But last year, I think that kind of got, the word got out that we were giving that money back, and we had a record number of total team defaults. So we are no longer going to give that $100 fine back. And the caveat, we also will enforce that the captain has 7 days to pay it, and if they don't, then they are suspended from all USTA league matches, because we also had captains last year who just took months to pay the fine. So we don't want that. And I have yet to see a second total team default, so hopefully I never will, but if there is one, it's a $350 fine, and the entire roster risks getting suspended from all leagues, not just the league where they were caught, with the default. One just kind of housekeeping thing on Tennis Link, you've seen it by now. Your team name is a little different. The reason for this is simply it just makes it easier as teams progress through playoffs. This is how the Midwest wants it. So rather than have to change it later, we'll just do it from the start. Each facility has a 2 or 3 letter code. You can find those codes on our homepage. So most of them are pretty obvious. There's a couple that are maybe a little off. So there's that. So in 2019, we're also going to relax the rainout rescheduling rule. In the past, it was you had until your next match to reschedule it. Now you have 3 weeks, which I think is a little easier to get those matches in. But of course, if it happens in the last week or second to last week, you can't have 3 weeks, so you have to adhere to the rules posted. And those, of course, are in the rule 705 in our local rules. If you're a 55 and over participant, you can now play on a day and night team. But if both teams make the playoffs, you do have to declare for one. You can't play on both. So just be aware of that. If you're a new captain, some things to remember, be in constant contact with your facility. Just, make sure they've booked your courts. By now you've gotten your match times, which is good. But they've, been doing this for years, so they can help you with player recruiting later on if you're short people. Good resource. communicate with the other captains, and not just your opponents and stuff, but I mean other captains maybe at your facility or friends of yours, who have done it before. They can be a great tool for you to learn and bounce some ideas off of. Don't forget, you are the connection for your players to the league, so you got to stay in contact with them. Sure, you're updating them on changes of matches, anything that they need to know. Keep them occupied with information. And then, of course, get to know our league website. Has all the rules and different links that you'll need as a captain. So just the match day etiquette. You go over this every year. Try to get your players there as early as you can. We say 15 minutes, but we understand, especially 6 o'clock matches, that's kind of a pipe dream. But the earlier the better. Same with handing each other's lineups to one another. The earlier the better. This is basically just so we can get people out on the court on time and stick to the 10-minute warm-up. The 10-minute warm-up has become a 20-minute warm-up. We're really relying on the captains this year. If you're at the match or if you're playing the match, especially the 6 o'clock ones where all 5 courts go out at once, we need someone having the players stick to the 10-minute warm-up because it's putting all the other matches behind. And it's frustrating if you play at 7:30 or 9 o'clock and you're pushed back 20 minutes simply because 6 o'clock match, which is supposed to start at 6:10, didn't start till 6:30. And it happens a lot more than you think. Of course, good sportsmanship, 99% of the time, it's good. We just try to fix that 1%. Another important thing we'll talk more about in a little bit, make sure you're signing each other's scorecards at the end of the match. And then, of course, report within 48 hours. And that's home or away captain. Anyone could do it. So if you have the app on your phone, simply do it when you're there, get it out of the way, and then you're done. So the reason you're supposed to sign scorecards is in case there's a dispute. So if you notice an error when you go to confirm this process, make sure you're emailing me. Include the match number. That's the biggest thing I need. Otherwise, I can't look you up. And then include the opposing captain and then what needs to be corrected. A lot of the times it's simply because people use the app and they put the wrong name or whatever. It's easy change. But if it's a scoring issue and someone says it was 6-1, 6-2 and the other captain says no, it was 6-2, 6-2, and those games can matter down the road in playoffs. If the captains cannot agree, then we go with whatever on the signed score sheet. If you don't sign the score sheet, you're risking whoever puts the scores in first can basically put whatever they want. So sign those score sheets. If you have a grievance come up, not an NTRP, but an issue with a team or a spectator or a player or whatever it is, contact your league coordinator, whoever that is. Include me as well, and then let us know you'd like to file a grievance. We'll get you the forms, and what happens is we inform the other captain that a grievance has been filed, and it goes to our grievance committee who renders a decision, and then either party can appeal that, and the appeals can be heard by the appeals committee, which is a separate group. Just to note, I'm not a part of either committee, so if you ever want to bounce off a possible grievance with me or get my opinion, I'm happy to share some insight. I'll never tell you not to file or definitely to file. I'll leave that part out. But if you want to get my opinion, I'm happy to help because I don't have a say in the decision. So feel free to contact me. Of course, get to know your league coordinator. Hopefully by now you've been in communication with them. They've definitely emailed you. Save that for sure. We're here to help. We can answer some questions. If your coordinator doesn't know, they'll come to me. If I don't know, I go to Midwest. If Midwest doesn't know, they go to National. So we'll get you an answer. Sometimes it may take a little longer than expected, but coordinators are pretty knowledgeable, so they're there to help. And never feel weird asking a question or contacting them. They they're used to it. All right. We're obviously not doing questions because this is a recorded one with no spectators. So have a great season, and any issues, feel free to reach out. Thanks.